Hey everybody, welcome back to my car shop. Today we're going to begin the process of removing the front part of this rear frame rail on the 70 Challenger. Let's watch the show intro and I'll meet you in 30 seconds on the other side.
Working out of a 100-year-old refurbished barn, bringing 35 years of experience to projects considered beyond repair. Vision, creativity, and problem solving are essential tools in this place. Watch as we transform junk into polished metal miracles. This is My Cars Shop.
So continually I get feedback that everybody wants the details of what I do, and I was actually watching a bunch of YouTube channels just in the last couple days. We're in the middle of a big snowstorm and cold as a lot of the country is, and so I haven't been able to work out here in the shop because it's just been unbearably cold, sub-zero weather. And today I've actually got it up to about 45 in here, so it's tolerable at least. Can't see my breath, so that's good. But anyway, so, and one of the things that I've noticed is what many of you have commented is that a lot of people talk about what they're going to do, but don't really show how they do it. So I appreciate that kind of feedback because, I really try to give you a balance of not mundane, tedious, boring details that would put you to sleep, but by the same token, give you something that helps you see the process. And so I try to balance that with both verbal instruction, sharing some of the process in real time, and then time lapse so you can kind of see what's involved. So if you've never taken a piece of frame out of a car before, obviously this will be informative for you. And if you have taken one out, then this will be review. But, I watch a lot of things on YouTube that I already know how to do, and I always pick up something. So there's always something to be learned, no matter how much you think you know. The day we stop learning is the day we start dying. So that's all good. But several of you had commented after the last episode that I did on this project, and I was contemplating going back and forth between just cutting that piece of floor out that's about this big versus drilling out all the spot welds. My rationale was a couple of things. One was just being lazy. It'd be easy to just buzz it out of there and be done with it. But even more significant than that was my thought process of how much easier it would be to be able to align that piece of frame rail from the top instead of from underneath the car. So that was my thinking. I know John and Eric both have chimed in. I think a couple other people did too. That it'd be better to drill the spot welds. The more I thought about it, the more I'm leaning that way also. So that's probably where we're going to start. I can always cut it back out if it doesn't work the way I think it's going to. So let's get in there and start that. The first thing I need to do is get this car braced up. So I'm going to do that off camera here. It's simple. Jack stand up under the rocker panel on this side, and the jack stand or jack under the rear frame rail on the back now that the car is solid in the back, just to keep it from twisting. But another key element, I want to bring you over there and show you something that's very significant when you're doing frame work. A few episodes ago when Mark was here, we hung this door back on the car. And the only reason I had taken it off was because my intention was to buy a different door. I've had zero success finding anything reasonably decent, so I'm probably just going to go ahead and rebuild this door. But the point is, when you're doing framework on a car, or on any vehicle for that matter, when you're getting into the structure, whether it's a pickup cab or a car or anything, when you're cutting apart significant structure of the vehicle, your doors are significant. Mark and I spent a lot of time lining this door up, getting everything as best as we could, even though it's smashed here and this opening is wrong. This door gap is about right up here and down here. And so the issue here is when you're cutting that piece of frame out with everything supported the way it should be, if something goes wonky here, this door gap is going to change. And so that's important for anybody that's not done this, or anybody that has done this for that matter, is make sure your doors are hung well, and make sure that, I can hear the comments after that one. Make sure the doors are hung properly and that they're fitting right so that you can keep an eye on this gap and make sure that nothing is moving when you're cutting out some of those significant structures in the car. So that's a very important tech tip, I guess, if you want to call it that, when you're doing this structural work. Like I said, even on a pickup cab, if you're cutting apart frame supports for the cab itself, make sure that you have the doors on, and also you may need to weld braces into the door openings to keep things from moving. So I've never had to do that on anything I've done. Even when I tubbed the GTS, I had everything supported real well. I had the doors on, and nothing moved on that car because it was supported well. But you can weld braces in for anything you're concerned about. Better to be overly cautious than to go, whoops. I had mentioned in another episode about a car that a customer cut the rocker panel out and the car spread apart several inches and we had to pull it back together. It's doable, but it's a pain in the butt. So obviously if you can prevent that from happening, that's important. Another thing to note, because this quarter panel is as weak as it is, and because that frame is bad, there's buckling that's happening in here when I push up and down on the back of the car before I put the jack in it. And I can't really demonstrate that to you in a way that you can see it when I'm here by myself. But basically what I've done in the support of this, and I'll show you here, is I put my jack under there that I use just to take a little edge off, just to put a little tension on the back of that frame, but not much. And so what I was doing was jacking it up until just about the point that I could start to see that metal right in here and move just a little bit, and then I stopped. So I'm just taking and putting just a slight bit of a load, not much, on the back of that. So that's something else I'll be watching and feeling. Right now this feels real straight and flat, and it moves right in here. So I will be keeping an eye on that as well to make sure that I don't end up with something sucked in or buckled out in this area here. So as I mentioned in the last episode, which some of you may not have seen, the next job now is to go through and drill out spot welds up in here, probably up to about here. And there's, I'm not sure how many, probably 6 or 8 on each side. And then we can start cutting this piece of frame out. So I think we're supported good. I'm very thankful that this main support piece here is still decent. It's not great, but it's strong enough for what we're doing here that I can cut this floor out, which I got to do that also. I'll do that right probably first thing, and cut out the bad metal up to the point that I want to start saving it and get that out of the way. One thing I was trying to do is be very careful not to cut into some of the sub-support underneath here, which I did a little bit, but it'll be all right. All right, so I think the next thing I want to do is go underneath the car and drill up a couple of holes around the place I'm going to cut the frame off, so I know exactly how far up I need to remove these spot welds. So it's looking good so far. I'm pleased with the way things are turning out here. Okay, I'm glad I did that because I thought it was going to be up much further. So you know, the optical illusions of being under the car versus being in here. So the last spot weld I actually need to drill is going to be, I'm gonna get the purple wheel in here and clean this up, but it's going to be up in here somewhere. So I only have just a few of them, which is good. So that's cool. Just a side note here, I've been inside this car before, but not to this extent of time, and I didn't realize that this particular 70 Challenger came with the factory botanical garden option, which I think is pretty cool. So, you know, I may consider putting that back in the car because I think it's a rare option and it could quite significantly increase the value of this vehicle. So, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, But this botanical garden option is pretty cool. All right, so I've got those holes drilled through. If they're not completely broken loose, which I'm pretty sure they are, I will go with a bigger drill from the other side, because these are the holes that I'm going to be re-plug welding that frame to the floor, and I don't want them any bigger than that. So that's my reasoning here in what I'm doing. I'm not using my spot weld driller because, so let me tell you what that is. There is a spot weld driller that I have that you drill an 1/8 inch hole, and I'm sure in some episodes you'll get to see me use it, but I'm not using it right now. But you drill an 1/8 inch hole, and then it has a little hole saw basically that it has a pin that goes in, and it has a little hole saw, and it cuts out the weld. And the goal with that isn't to go all the way through, but it's to cut through the first layer of sheet metal, and then so it pops loose from the second layer, so you're not cutting that second layer behind. But I'm replacing that piece behind there, so I couldn't care less. I think you guys know me well enough by now to know that I'm constantly changing my mind. Where I was going to try to take this piece out in one, there's so many braces in here. I think I'm just going to take the Sawzall, rip it across here, rip it across in here, and then do the same thing up underneath the car to take this out in pieces. Just because I really want to be sure to try to preserve these braces, and the easiest way to do that is just peel everything off of it rather than trying to be delicate about this. This thing is crap. I don't know why I was feeling like I wanted to preserve it. Just a habit, I guess. So okay, so plan B, I don't have any Sawzall blades. Well, I do. I know I do, but they're not here. So they probably are up in the house with the house construction stuff or something. But regardless, I'll do this with the cutoff wheel. So always changing gears here. All right, so we're obviously committed. The frame is out. And I'm just checking the door gap. Everything's looking good. Everything's still perfectly lined. The quarter panel feels good. I don't feel anything different than before. So, yep, we're golden. Okay, so our perspective from down below. The frame is gone from here now. So I'll need to peel that piece out there. And that brace is good. We got to peel it off of this brace here too, of course. And there's a brace right here. So all we got to do now is get this last piece of frame from here and cut it about right in here somewhere and get that out. I may take more of it later, but right now that's where I want to start. So there. So my next chunk is to get this 8-inch piece here. That's my plan, to get that out. I've been inside the car working on air hammering that out, but there are 2 spot welds right here that I think I'm just going to drill out that are going to make this a lot easier to get done. I can't get up in there and air chisel that out as much as I've tried. So that's just the way I'm going to get that wrapped up, I think. And then the frame will be out. And it's out. So you can see where it's cut off up here. And so now the next steps are going to be to start matching up the new piece of frame rail that we made to go down in through here and butt up against here. I may be just going to blow this open up here for now to make my life easier, and then I can just cut that off and rebuild it. I don't think structurally it's going to make any difference. I gotta think that through a little bit, but I may go ahead and just weld a brace across and cut it out of there. My temptation would be to just put a piece of angle iron on the bottom here and run it across to the other side of the car over there, just to be safe and just support it with a jack. But I don't think it's going to go anywhere, so I got to ponder that a little bit. But the next steps is to start fitting that frame rail. So I made it a lot longer up in here than it needed to be, so I need to decide if I'm going to cut the new piece or cut the old piece. Probably cut the new piece to fit this right in here. But big step forward. It's just amazing how these unibodies are as far as material thickness and so forth. Boxes, the strength of boxes and tees is just incredible. Just double checking everything here with my template. It fits against the floor nice. Fits right up into the spot there. So I've got some trimming and things to do in here, but there's a piece of crap in the way up there, but no big deal. But it fits in there good. So yeah, once that little piece of zutz is out of the way, it'll pop right up in place there. Not sure what that is. Just a piece of the frame from when I buzzed it off. But anyway, you get the idea. And of course I laid this up against my piece of frame rail that I made, and it fits good. So the next steps, now I want to take this axle bumper off and do some cleanup in here and determine where I'm going to splice. I'm pretty sure I know what I'm going to do, but it's at a point like this that I want to stop, regroup, and think about the next steps on what I want to do. And so that takes me a little bit of time. I just like to think things through, and it takes me a while because I'm just not very good at it. So there you go. So once again, we just lay it up against the template, and we know it needs to be cut off. We know that we're extra long up in here, but it's fine. So very pleased and happy with the way this is going. Obviously we're extra long down here, and that was by design as well. I'd rather nibble my way in to being in the right position and in the right place and take my time at it. So just to see it one more time from the inside, now the frame is completely gone. And of course from this side as well. It's always amazing to me, just cutting out the rusty metal, what a huge improvement that makes in the look of the car, and how it just looks a lot less deteriorated. I mean, of course that makes sense when you see a piece of metal like that Swiss cheese over there versus a big clean hole. Obviously you can you can fix this stuff and put it back together again. It's going well. Nothing has moved. Everything is solid. Like I said, I may go ahead and cut that out to make it easy on myself there. I gotta ponder that, because I think I will probably support that somehow or brace that somehow. Although I don't know how necessary that is. That really is pretty solid in there, all things considered. But you never know what a rusty piece of metal, how much that still may be providing support. So, like I said, I need to think about it and just do some mental calculations. That's big progress. It's going to come together rather quickly now. So as I said, I need to do some calculating and pondering. So this is where we're going to stop for today. I've got to go do some snow blowing. By the time I get that done, I got to get dinner done. Sequences of the rest of the day. I've got a little more work I need to do also on a project for work. So, but this is what I wanted to accomplish today, and it worked out perfect. I just ran out of propane, and we actually made it to 50 degrees in here today, so you can tell it's not as cold out today as it has been, or at least not as windy. I think it's in the teens, but it's not much wind, so that's good. So yeah, that's big progress here, and it feels good. It feels real good to spend 3 or 4 hours or whatever it was, 4 or 5 hours. I don't know what this was total, but working away at it and making that progress. You've kind of gathered by now, if you've been around the shop with me for a while, that I tend to do episodes based upon the projects that I'm accomplishing for the day. And I always have an agenda and a goal of how much I want to bite off, and that's what I share with you in an episode. So it really gives you a feel for, in my opinion at least, and you can make your comments down here if you'd like to see it differently. But what gets accomplished in each work session, so literally when I come out here in the shop to work, we make an episode, I have a particular objective in mind. Today I hoped we would get all of that frame rail out of there and be ready to start doing the cleanup and getting the new frame rail in. We've accomplished that. That's a good bite-sized piece, and that's what we're sharing in the episode. But I really do want to tailor, the videos to what you want to see. I know you keep commenting that you like seeing the detail, you like seeing the progress, and I try to do as much of that as I can in time lapse, so that it's not ridiculously boring and tedious. But I also want you to have a feel for, from beginning to end, what it takes to do this. So, yeah, that's one side. We still have another side we need to do, but this is a big step forward. So that's going to do it for this episode of My Car Shop on the 70 Challenger frame project. Like I said, we still have to do the passenger side, but we're close to having the driver's side done. And I'm excited about getting the framework done for a number of reasons, but the biggest reason is I'm kind of excited to build the trunk floor and get that put in the car, get the quarter panel hung on the driver's side, and start doing some of the cosmetic work that needs to be done. We haven't done much of that since we did the bang the roof back out in episode 2 through 5, maybe. I'm not sure, somewhere in that area. But anyway, where I was pounding the roof back out from where it had been crushed down from being in a pile of cars. So big progress. That's good. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel, I would encourage you to do that. Obviously, it benefits the channel if you do. It benefits all of the viewers if you do, but it benefits you too, because you'll find out when another episodes come out. And if you're enjoying the work that I'm doing, then you'll want to know when that happens. So hit the bell for notifications, and you'll be notified when the episode comes out. Here on YouTube, if you can't remember where we are, subscribe, then you'll find us always, but it is /My Car Shop. We got our custom URL this past week, so that's exciting. Also on Instagram and Facebook /My Car Shop. No apostrophe, just My Cars Shop, just the way it's spelled on the channel. And so big steps forward. We're about halfway there on the viewing hours. We're just approaching 2,000 viewing hours on the channel, and I think earlier today I looked and we were just short of 320 subscribers, so we're moving fast towards that 1,000 subscribers that we want, so that we can offer a member area and all kinds of behind the scenes stuff. There's just a lot of cool stuff that's going to be coming when we get there. So let's just make this happen, okay? Thanks, I appreciate the help. And like I said, comments down there, let me know. Like the video too, that helps push us up in the algorithms. I know a lot of you are here because YouTube recommended us. And if you like detail fabrication and stuff like that, this is the place for you. Rock on, guys. See you next episode.